My name's Kelly Armour. I'm the chair of the Sunday Services Committee, and I'll be basically one of the coordinators of the service this morning. So if you have a bell, we're going to ring it to start our service, and then we'll go into the chalice lighting. So if you don't have a bell or a chalice, you want to get it? All right. And with our bells, we're going to unmute everybody, and it's going to be a bit of controlled chaos. With these bells, we open our hearts to the song of the chaotic and beautiful universe. And, our chalice lighting is by Reverend Amy Carroll Webb. We light this flame for the art of sacred unknowing, humbled by all that we cannot fathom in this time. We come into the presence of what we do know, perhaps the only thing we can ever know, that love is now and forever, the only answer to everything and everyone in every moment. A welcoming song by Brian Head.
Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you.
Thank you, Brian. And now we have opening words by Liz Yount.
Our opening words this morning are from Gretchen Haley, a Unitarian Universalist minister. Surrender to this life. Give up the fight for some other moment, some other life than here and now. Give up the longing for some other world, the wishing for other choices to make, other songs to sing, other bodies, other ages, other countries, other stakes. Purge the past, forgive the future, for each come too soon. Surrender only to this life, this day, this hour, not because it does not constantly break your heart, but because it also beckons with beauty. It startles with delight, if only we keep waking up. This is the gift we have been given, these body clothes, this heartbreak, this pulse, this breath, this light, these friends, and this hope. Here we remember ourselves, all a part of it all, giving thanks together. Come, let us worship.
Thank you, Liz. Now we will have the prelude with Jackson Froman. Thank you, Jackson. That was beautiful. So next we have our bonds of union.
Before I start to read it, I just thought, you know, we read it all the time and it becomes automatic. And I thought maybe what we could do is read it more slowly and think about the words. They're so powerful. So with that little idea, I'll start. We unite ourselves together for the study and practice of morality and religion as interpreted by the growing thought and noblest lives of humanity, believing that we may thereby prove helpful one to another and promote the cause of truth, righteousness, and love in the world.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Thank you. So we had several people saw this on Facebook. It's a Unitarian congregation from Tennessee that put together a little video of the meditation on breathing. Wonderful, wonderful. So we have Candace to lead a question for everybody, but particularly for, for everything, for everybody. And so what's going to happen is Candace is going to pose the question, talk a little bit about it, and then we're going to look at some beautiful photos that Nanci Lorei took of our memorial garden for us to think about that question and then answer it using the chat box. And then if there are families here, we'll call on them to speak about how they handle this really important question. So what we're going to do next is a little, we've got a hymn number 325, which has really, really beautiful words. It's not a hymn that I think our congregation has sung much. But it's very sweet, but the words are quite intense. So what we're doing is kind of creating a little spiritual sandwich for all of you, where I will do the first verse, then we'll have a reading by Liz Yount, then I'll do the second verse, and Liz will tell this amazing story she has to share about the Sangha ministry, and then we'll finish with the last verse of the hymn. Love makes a bridge from heart to heart and hand to hand. Love finds a way when laws are blind and freedom bend.
This is The Ideal of Service in Buddhism by Shakamal Chowdhury, who is the head of the Department of Pali at the Sanskrit College in Calcutta. Sounds impressive, huh? Gautama Buddha was born in a royal family. He passed his early life up to the age of 29 in royal luxury. His father, Suddhodana, was always worried about that prediction of the astrologer that his son would renounce the world. So he made arrangements in such a way that Gautama would never know worldly sufferings. But eventually Gautama did come in contact with the realities of life, and he became so perturbed that he at once left behind him all the pleasures of the palace and went forth in quest for the cause of suffering and the means to annihilate it once and for all. He practiced rigorous austerities for 6 long years and at last became the Buddha, the enlightened one. He discovered the medicine for human suffering. Himself fully liberated from the mire of those repeated existences, he felt he couldn't be happy until he could liberate all beings. His feelings are beautifully described in this piece from the Bodhicittavara. So long as the sky and the world exist, my existence will be here for the eradication of the miseries of all beings. Let me suffer all the sufferings of beings and let the world be happy and liberated by dint of all merits of me, the Bodhisattva. For 45 years, Buddha worked hard as an all-sacrificing monk to see others become liberated. He propagated his Dharma medicine, the perfect ideal of universal righteousness for the good and the welfare of the many, that he actually wanted the good and welfare of all, high and low, irrespective of caste and creed, nation and country to which they belonged, is evident from his historical advice to his first disciples, 60 in number, who were gathered around him. He said, "Go ye bhikkhus," which are wandering monks, "wander forth for the good of the many, for the welfare of the many, in compassion for the world, for the good, for the gain, for the welfare of gods and people." Buddha dedicated his entire life for the cause of others, for the uplift of humanity at large. The existing pattern of the society of his time was painful to him. Classifying people according to their birth was distasteful. He vehemently opposed the system and did not hesitate to preach boldly that it is not by mere birth that one becomes lowly or a noble, but by one's own actions. Buddha showered his unlimited compassion, blended with metta, or loving kindness, towards all. The whole universe was sheltered under the canopy of his supreme love. Caste and creed were no bar. Not only his kith and kin, but men and women, young and old, rich and poor, flocked to him to drink freely from the fountain of love and peace. After the death of Buddha, his disciples faithfully carried out his programs of service to humanity for more than 200 years. Then came Ashoka, a worthy successor to Buddha. He not only adopted Buddha's idealism and human feeling in toto, but he also expanded them by giving them a time-befitting touch. The Buddhist ideal of service to humanity spread in different countries of the world, along with the spread of Buddhism, the service to humanity in an organized form that was first introduced to the world by the Buddha through his Sangha and after by Ashoka. Let us conclude with the words of the Bengali poet Rabindranath Tagore and pray for the peace and prosperity of all beings in the world. And these are his words. In these days of the worldwide human indignity, it is right that we should say, Buddha Saranam Gacchami. Buddha will be our refuge. He manifested the ideal of humanity in himself. He spoke of the liberation that comes by the practicing of self-giving through right action. The liberation which consists not merely in the rejection of anger and malice, but in the cultivation of immeasurable love and goodwill towards all creatures. In these days, we seek refuge in him who came into this world to reveal in his own person the real self of the universal man.
Love makes the walls of language, gender, class, and age. Love gives us wings to slip the bars of every cage.
The story of our Buddhist Sangha's service work with the inmates at the Albion prison begins with a written request. Our Erie Sangha had been meeting at UUCE every Monday night for 11 years when we got our first letter. It's pretty exciting. It was addressed to Peaceful Raven Buddhist Sangha in care of UUCE. And I'd like to share that letter with you. To whom it may concern, and this was July of 2018. I'm writing on behalf of a small group of Buddhists here at SCI Albion in the hopes that someone from your congregation might be willing to volunteer to lead our services at the prison. For some time, we had a monk commute from Pittsburgh to teach meditation and general principles, but he relocated almost a year ago, and we've been unable to meet without a replacement volunteer. If someone is interested, please have them contact Deacon DeCecco, who organizes all the prison's religious services. If it's easier or more comfortable, multiple people could probably attend at once. And the meeting there would be based on the time that was available, that they were available, either on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis. Our past meetings rarely attracted more than 10 to 12 people, and usually half that. But a handful of us are steady attendees. The ability to meditate and learn as a group now and then was very beneficial, if only to keep us devoted to our practices. And we would be grateful if any of your members might help us continue to do that. Thank you for your consideration. And he signed it Best with his name and his inmate number. Well, when I read the letter to our group, there were several people that were interested. And when all clearances, applications, approvals were completed, there were 5 of us who were willing to provide a Buddhist service twice a month. And we started in May of 2019. From the first meeting with 5 men, we knew this was going to be a rich experience. As we told them that day, we were not Buddhist teachers or scholars. What we offered them was Sangha, which is spiritual friendship, support for their practice. On the first and third Fridays of each month, we meet to sit in our chairs in a circle, meditating in silence for 20 minutes, then slow walking meditation for 5 minutes, then sit quietly again for 20 more minutes before we share our thoughts, our feelings about our practice, our struggles, or our joys. These men are knowledgeable about the teachings, but more than that, they are living their practice every day. While they appreciate the time spent in silence, a rare experience for people who are incarcerated, they are not disturbed when the loudspeaker screeches before a voice comes on and makes an announcement that no one can decipher. They continue to breathe with their eyes closed and then enjoy the silence that follows. We all enjoy the silence that follows that horrible noise. And when our meditation time is over and it's time to share, they really open their hearts to each other and to us. They are making the best of their situation. And while they're doing that, they're also trying to help others. I want to use the Buddhist names that one of our members has given them as I tell you a little bit about a few of these remarkable men. Shariputra is a former college professor and approaches Buddhism from a scholarly point of view. But he also works as a peer mentor to assist other inmates to adapt to life in prison. He enlightens us with information he finds in his studies and also informs us of situations where applying the teachings can be of use. Ananda works as an aide on his cell block, intentionally aware of the needs of other inmates. He asked us to start a letter writing campaign for one of the men who never receives any mail, someone who is limited, and really we got a letter from him. He writes in just kind of a slur of words, but he would write to people and no one would ever write back to him. So we did write letters, and that man carried around our letters in his back pocket. It just made him so happy to know that somebody cared about him. Ananda also shared with us, more than once actually, that when we come to sit with them, it feels like a visit from family or old friends, and we feel the same way about them. Magalana is a writer who has won first and second prize for his short stories in a national contest for the incarcerated. And recently, he has been published in a prestigious literary journal that is not prison related. He told us at the urging of Shariputra about giving away many of his brown prison uniforms that he's accumulated over the last 10 years in the spirit of the vow that we read, to be content with few possessions. He is also the one who wrote the letter that made Sangha happen, and for that we are all grateful. He's a young man whose father actually Googled Buddhist groups in Erie and found us on the web somehow and gave him the address. Some might wonder how much impact our service work has when we only meet with 5 to 8 men in a prison with more than 2,000 inmates. But I believe these men are creating ripples of goodness by their example. Their acts of generosity, compassion, and patience do not go unnoticed, or their calm demeanor in difficult situations. They affect those around them. They inspire us to practice the teachings in our own lives, and they appreciate our support and friendship along the path. It is an opportunity for connection that is so powerful. We meet at the UUCE parking lot to drive out together. There's 4 of us now. And on the way out, we're just anticipating seeing them and being with them again. And then on the drive home, we're like little kids kind of giggling and just, oh, remember when they said that? And it's just, we look forward to it. It's like the best part of our week, we always say. So due to the COVID-19 situation, we have not seen them since March 6th, but they are definitely on our minds and in our hearts. While our Erie Sangha has been able to meet in Zoom, we have Zoom Sangha every Monday. Our Sangha brothers in Albion are in lockdown, but of course that's for their safety. This means staying in their cells 24/7, except for short periods of time when they're allowed to exercise or make phone calls. So we've recently sent messages of support and readings for their inspiration and study. They can receive these through the in-house mail system. And I'm really happy that we have a chance to keep in touch until we can meet in person again. There is a good possibility that a recording of this can be sent to you on the inmate channel, so they'll know that we're all thinking about them. Sangha is much more than just a meeting to meditate. It's a feeling of being accepted and supported in all the times of our lives. We all need Sangha through this time of the pandemic. As Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh tells us, if you have despair in your heart, open it to the peace and mindful energy of the Sangha. We don't need to stay like a single drop of water. We sit here to let our collective energy embrace us and hold our suffering. By being here and relaxing, we become one. We become the river. And I believe that we here at UUCE are a Sangha, and we are one.
Love lifts the hopes that force and fear have beaten down. Love breaks the chains and gives us strength to stand our ground. So we're going to let Liz talk a little bit about our joys and concerns. We're going to do it a little differently this week. Liz?
Am I in? Yeah. Okay. Sanghas, like ours, typically end with Dharma sharing, where the members of our Sangha share their insights, their experiences, joys, difficulties, and we strive during that time to practice deep listening without reacting, judging, or offering advice to anybody. It's a time that while others are speaking, we are listening with the intent of just listening and helping create a calm, receptive environment so that people feel heard. So in the spirit of Sangha, we're going to try Dharma sharing this week for our joys and concerns. During the music, we invite everyone to open to chat or write in the chat box just a few words about how you're feeling during this time of pandemic, how you're feeling right now. You don't need to have a joy or sorrow, simply type in a few words about how you're feeling. And remember, it's important not to respond to anybody's entry directly. This is just a time for us to simply bear witness to each other's feelings.
As people continue to share their thoughts via the chat box, let's hear the meditation music by Brian Head, song by Tom Waits.
Phone's off the hook, knows where we are. It's a long time since I drank champagne. The ocean is blue as your eyes. I'm gonna take it with me when I go. Old long since gone, now way back when we lived on Coney Island. Ain't no good thing ever dies. I'm gonna take it with me when I go. Far, far away, a train whistle blows. Wherever you're going, wherever you've been, waving goodbye at the end of the day. You're up and you're over and you're far away. Always for you and forever yours. It felt just like the old days. We fell asleep on Beulah's porch. I'm gonna take it with me when I go. All broken down by the side of the road. I was never more alive or alone. I've worn the faces off all the cards. I'm gonna take it with me when I go. Children are playing at the end of the day. Strangers are singing on our lawn. There's got to be more flesh and bone when all that you loved is all you own. In a land there's a town, and in that town there's a house, and in that house there's a woman, and in that woman there's a heart I love. I'm gonna take it with me when I go. I'm gonna take it with me when I go.
Thank you, Brian. And we have a lot of beautiful sentiments, and again, we bear witness to them all: the pain and the loneliness, and the gratitude and the joy. Liz, you have closing words for us?
In the Buddhist tradition, there are beings called bodhisattvas. A bodhisattva vows to alleviate suffering and bring blessings in every circumstance. They choose to live with dignity and courage and radiate compassion for all. The beautiful thing is that we can see bodhisattvas all around. We see them in the bravery of the healthcare workers or the unheralded ones who drive the trucks and stock the shelves of our grocery stores so we can all continue to eat. And now it's time to add our part to this great dance. This is what we are here for. It's time to make a vow, to sit quietly, rest your heart, and ask, what is my best intention my most noble aspiration in this difficult time. If you quiet yourself, your heart will answer. The answer could be simple, like, I vow to be kind no matter what. And when you find the answer in yourself, write it down and place it somewhere that you'll remember. Then when you feel lost or confused, take a breath and remember that vow, because it's time to become the lamp in the darkness. This is what's possible for us as human beings in this moment.
So we're going to extinguish our chalices. If you have one, get it ready here. And our chalice extinguishing words are from the Reverend Amy Zucker Morgenstern, who is the pastor of the First Parish Minister at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Palo Alto, California. Never has it been more true than now. We extinguish this flame, but the sparks within us remain alight. From each of us in our supposed solitude, the signals buzz and hum, sparkling through space to one another, connecting us invisibly, but palpably. We are one. And from every window, our light shines. And grab your bell. The ushers will unmute everybody and we'll have another moment of blissful chaos.
All right, I want to eat.
Our ushers will mute us all, except for Jackson. And this is a time to put an This is a time for us to put our announcements into the chat box. Jackson, take it away with a postlude. All right, thank you. We do have one announcement somebody sent to me. I'll put it in the chat box as well, but the Mill Creek Food Pantry is running perilously low on non-perishable foods. And as you know, the demand for this service has increased dramatically. And in an effort to ease the situation, a few members of the Lakewood United Methodist Church have volunteered to collect food and monetary donations. So today, they will be taking donations from anybody from 1 until 3 p.m. And they are at 3856 West 10th Street. I'll put it right in the chat box for anybody. You can drop off non-perishable foods, and you can put the bags directly into the trunks of the cars of the volunteers, and they ask that you have a mask. Let's see. It's 30. And it also looks like we've got Tom Schladecker still got masks. And for anybody who wants masks, they can send him a text or give him a call. We've got happy birthdays, greetings to Edie and to Moira. And let's see, Patrick said that he hasn't been he can't stick around for our breakout sessions, but he'll see everybody next week. And Al, yes, Al will certainly get the pictures of the Memorial Garden out to you and anybody who wants them. So if there